All right, so I've been getting some requests to reintroduce myself and tell my story because I have a lot of new followers. And in addition to spreading awareness about narcissistic abuse, I don't think that everyone knows that I'm actually a narcissistic abuse survivor myself. So I'm going to try to put as much of this as I can into a 3-minute video. So my name is Cynthia, and I was in a 2.5-year relationship with a narcissist. Never knew what a narcissist was, only knew that very surface level definition that it's someone who's like really into themselves. I was fresh off of a divorce and in a very vulnerable stage in my life when I met this person. I was at my friend's 30th birthday party. It was a pedal party. We were going to bars, and one of my friend's boyfriends invited his friend, which was the narcissist. The love bombing was super extreme, saying all the right things, all the things that I've always wanted to hear from someone. It was like a fairy tale. Felt like an instant connection, instant chemistry. It felt magical. After that initial night of hanging out, we were inseparable, and I was obsessed with him. He was so attentive, all about me, wanted to be with me only, wanted a relationship, all of the things. This was around the time that Hurricane Harvey hit Houston and my house got flooded. I had to move in with my parents for a while my house was getting renovated. When my house was finished and I moved back in, he immediately moved in with me. Things were great. I loved having him here. We had so much fun together. He made me feel vibrant again and full of life after my divorce. He 100% gained my trust very quickly, and I definitely felt like it was the person that I was supposed to be with. I shared with him a lot of information about my marriage and about the issues that we had with communication, and he went out of his way to be an excellent communicator. He ended up losing his job, and he told me that cars were a big part of his life, that he was really good at working on cars. He knew everything about cars. So that kind of became his form of income. He would go around town, like working on people's cars, doing oil changes, things like that. Over time, the car thing escalated into him wanting to buy and restore all of these old school cars and store them at my house. He had extreme delusions of grandeur of being this famous car designer, this car builder that everyone was going to know. You were going to be famous. We were going to be rich. He stopped bringing in income from working on people's cars, and it became all about him restoring these cars that were in my driveway and in my garage and in my backyard. While all of this was going on, he began to take away affection, and he became cold with me. I started to notice that there were 2 different sides to him, and I really was confused about which one was the real him. Lies started to surface. Cheating started to surface. As time passed, I started to find out more lies and more cheating, and it was like he was living a double life. Found out about kids that he had that I didn't know about. Anytime I tried to bring any of it up, it was always my fault. I was crazy. I was insecure. It was my fault for finding out the information. As I got closer to the truth of figuring out who he really was, things got more violent. He would throw things, yell at me, break things in the house, punch holes in the walls, but there was always love bombing afterwards. I was so confused because he would be so abusive, but then he would be so nice to me afterwards. I was completely addicted to this high and low cycle that I didn't even understand. I knew it was bad for me, but I felt like I needed him. So I really couldn't understand why everything in the relationship was blamed on me and why everything was my fault. But because I wanted things to work so badly, because I was so hooked on this person from the beginning and I just wanted that person back, I started trying so hard to fix things, to change things about myself that didn't need changing, anything just to please him on a daily basis. I mean, I was really doing the absolute most for this person on every level, more than anything I'd ever done for anyone before. I was constantly finding out about more lies, more cheating, more crazy things that he was doing that I didn't know about. But because he became so violent and so scary when I would try to bring those things up, he really conditioned me over time to just not bring anything up anymore. And over time, I truly 100% started to believe that his behaviors were my fault. He got so deeply in my head that I internalized all of that, and I really thought that there was something wrong with me. The conversations were always so circular and confusing, and I would be exhausted and I didn't know who I was anymore or what was going on. I mean, I really felt like I was just losing it, and I was apologizing all the time for things that I didn't even understand how they were my fault. But I was willing to do anything to get the good side of him. I would brush things under the rug out of fear, but after a while of the same things happening over and over, I would end up bringing them up again. And it escalated not only from being violent to him disappearing and saying that he was going to himself and then not answering the phone for hours and traumatizing me in that way. So that really brought it to a whole nother level, because then I became scared to call him out for things in fear of himself, which is like next level manipulation. But again, in between all of these extremely crazy episodes, he would give me glimpses of that person from the beginning again. So it would always give me hope that maybe one day that person would fully come back. And sometimes we would have these conversations where it seemed like he understood. He would have these moments of clarity, like he understood that there was something wrong and that he needed to fix certain things. So it would give me all this hope for the future. Not to mention, he was always talking about the future, about marriage and what we were going to do do and how we were going to be rich with this car thing. I lost a ton of weight. I stopped seeing my friends. I stopped seeing my family. And I literally started to believe him over myself. At a certain point, it didn't matter if I had proof of something. If he said it didn't happen, somehow that would override my own thoughts. I was in a constant state of anxiety. 24/7, constantly worried about what he's doing or where he is or who he's with or if he's cheating. It was exhausting. Eventually, I did start talking about what I was going through with some really close friends because I was so confused, and they told me it wasn't normal, but I still kept going back. After 2.5 years, I ended up reaching my breaking point, and it really wasn't anything out of the ordinary that helped me get there. It was the normal overreaction to a simple question, him breaking things in the house, and for some reason, that day, the switch flipped for me. It was a situation that I truly thought that I was going to be stuck in forever, and now I look back and I'm literally like, what the was I doing?